Hello and welcome to the Trending Now podcast for this Friday, March 28th, 2025. I'm Louie Butko, and thanks for joining us as we recap the week that was on Trending Now, which you catch every Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. and 11:30 on CHCH, CHCH.com, and streaming live on our Trending Now YouTube page. I want to give a quick happy birthday to my sister, Kathleen. It's her birthday today, so I want to make sure I got that out of the way so I didn't forget. But other than that, lots to get to on today's show, and I'm very pleased to be joined by the producer and host of Trending Now, Manesa Dhanabalan. Great to see you, Manesa.
Great to see you, and happy birthday to your sister.
I know, right? It's been a couple of weeks since we've been doing this. Great to be back here. Great to recap everything that's happened. And guess what? Just when you thought we were done with the provincial election and the U.S. election.
This is a little too fast.
We have a Canadian federal election to talk about here. And where do you want to start, Manesa? I mean, this is. We knew this was coming. We knew this was coming, right?
I thought it would actually come a little bit more faster, to be honest. I honestly thought it was going to be like that, to be honest, right after the leadership race.
Yeah.
So, but they are saying that this was like the fastest, I guess, in history.
Yeah.
So, thought it would be faster than that.
I mean, we kind of knew once Trudeau was going to step down, there was some sort of talk that maybe Jagmeet Singh would keep the government in power. But it seems like Mark Carney is reading the tea leaves and says, wow, we got rid of Justin Trudeau. The party has never been more popular. Let's roll the dice and let's try to do this, because the polling is suggesting that we could be looking towards another Liberal majority going into this election.
I think it's crazy because considering how things were before Trudeau stepped down, it almost it looked like they didn't even stand a chance. And then now here we are, and things are just kind of moving in that direction again, and it's like, damn.
Some of the polling, some of the polling, when you look and you see the lines that they literally cross, right? As the blue drops and the red, it goes up. Meanwhile, the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, and we're getting into this with Tessa Bennett in a little bit, because I know she's been on this story and we got a lot to get to with you. But it is interesting to run another campaign, and it is a month today, actually, as I look down and say that it is March 28th today. Canadians will head to the polls on April 28th. So we are exactly a month away, which means we got 4 more shows to talk about this election.
Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about.
Coming
for
days.
Sure. So let's move on. I wanted to get to this story. This is the big story today. Powerful earthquake has rocked Myanmar and neighboring Thailand, killing at least 150 people, mostly in Myanmar. Some of the images out, and we got behind the plasma here if you're watching us. Some of it, you've been watching the footage all day. Obviously, this job, we see a lot of footage that doesn't make it to air. Just absolute devastation out of Myanmar with this earthquake.
Yeah, it's crazy because, we all saw the videos on social media of the building in Thailand that in Bangkok completely it was under construction.
Yeah.
So the Thai PM has now come and said all the other buildings are all safe to go. Even if the earthquake was stronger, it still would have been able to withstand it. The only reason why those collapsed is because they were in construction.
Yeah.
So
a lot of these buildings are built to code to protect from something like this. Thailand, like California, have very strict building codes because it is well known that this is a place that is prone to very, very serious earthquakes. Yeah.
So in Myanmar, it's same thing. Buildings, there was a building that actually collapsed after the earthquake too. It was, I don't know how much longer, but it was in the central region, and they were all just videotaping, and it wasn't they said it was a high rise, but it didn't look like a high rise that much. It was actually kind of like a regular building, and then it just all of a sudden
150 people killed at least so far. Is there an expectation that number is going to rise? I mean, we're seeing all this footage, so much destruction. Is there a thought that 150 is sort of just the beginning right now?
A lot of the officials are saying that there's gonna be more because it's just. It was a really bad. I think the last time an earthquake to this magnitude was in, I believe, the 1950s or 40s.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, and the aftershocks themselves were also pretty major too. So
6.4 magnitude aftershock.
I can't. That just seems like is that even?
Yeah, I mean,
like, is there a level
like
of
that's
what?
what I mean. Yeah, the original quake was 7.7 magnitude, so the aftershock to be 6.4, a lot, and that was followed a few later in the day too. That's what aftershocks.
There are like roads that are the bridge in Myanmar that just
power stations, dams, all this stuff.
Just roads that just are completely just have like fissures in them, and then buildings that are literally slanted, and it's just. Yeah. And to go through all that, especially the collapsed buildings or anything like that, and to kind of pull people out it's gonna take time.
Yeah. Our thoughts are with people in Myanmar. Obviously, 150 people killed at the moment. Could grow and will likely grow. 101 missing from 3 construction sites. That's what you said as well with the buildings that are under construction. So thoughts are with people in Myanmar during this time. Wanted to get to something. I'm sorry to laugh before getting to it. The Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James drama. I'm throwing this one on you.
About this
you
one.
did this story,
I
though.
did it yesterday.
You did it yesterday. There's some drama brewing. These two men do not like each other.
No, they do not. And it's just escalated further and further. And it makes sense. A lot of people are calling it childish, and it does look.
On whose part?
Both of them. Mm-hmm. They're not saying just one person. They're like, it's kind of both of them. I mean, like, Smith to just be like, oh, it's because you're not the GOAT for me or something like that. And then and right before that, LeBron's like going to go post a video of him from like years ago boxing. And it is, when you look at it, it's
LeBron yelled at him like in front of everybody, got pretty confrontational. Your story looked at the history of this beef. Mm-hmm. There was the on-court confrontation. LeBron James goes up to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. says he was talking SHIT about his kid. Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of it has to do with like Bronny Jr. or Bronny, I guess is what they call him. But I mean, I can kind of see LeBron defending his son, but also your son's a grown man too, so let him fight his own fights.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. And the thing is, like on the Pat McAfee show, he said that if it's about a player or something like that, and like he's like, I would never tell somebody that they can't like criticize like what happens on the court and how the game is played or something. But then it's kind of like maybe like a gray area here where Bronny is a player. And I mean,
but it's his son though.
It's his son. It is his son. Like as a parent, I can understand why you feel the need to defend your kid.
Is LeBron the GOAT?
I'm not into sports that much. I mean, he's
You're
I've
saying
heard
that to the Trending Now sports reporter? You're gonna sit here and tell me you're not into sports that much? LeBron James is, okay, I get in trouble because I think he's the GOAT because what he does now at the age of 40 is pretty ridiculous.
I think, it's crazy. I think he's very, like, from what I hear.
He's got more points than anybody in NBA history. He's got the rings. He's got the, Yeah,
he's very talented. So, but, like I don't know who the GOAT is.
He also spends something crazy like $10 million a year to stay the shape he is in right now. And like if you look at him, he's jacked. Like he's pretty jacked. And I know our reels today had a pretty him not doing well against the Bulls. So not to spoil our reels on today's show, but the day before
he
had that little tip in.
Yeah, he did.
That's right.
See, I'm not into sports, but I actually knew that.
I know. Are you into Marvel movies?
So I watched the Avengers, like all the Avenger movies.
All of the Avenger movies. Like just the Avenger movies.
Just the Avenger. Okay. No, I also watched Iron Man.
Okay.
All those movies. Yeah. I didn't watch Captain America.
You're not a Chris Evans girl.
No, I'm not.
Why?
Because I'm a Robert Downey Jr. girl.
Oh, you like the sophistication, the goatee, the little age, I guess.
No, like it was just like, I don't know. I started watching it. I kind of like lost interest. So I stopped. Yeah. Whereas like Iron Man, Spider-Man, I didn't feel it like that. Like I just watched all those.
Okay, but this movie has like basically any Avenger that hasn't died in any of the series, even some that have, they're coming back for this movie. I mean, like, how did they announce it? They announced it throughout the afternoon. Like, they kept showing chairs. Like, what? Like,
I mean, it was like they were showing the chairs. They were rolling through it. Which, by the way, I missed that Robert Downey Jr. was at the end of it. I completely missed that, and it was because our editor, like, he saw it and he put it in when I didn't see it. Yeah. But I got super excited because I was like, wow, I can't believe I missed that. Anyways, yeah. So then they just went one by one. We already knew from before that he was coming back to, what is it, Dr. Doom?
Yeah.
Dr. Doom. Like, he's going to be the villain.
Yeah.
I was very happy that he's going to come back because I was very sad after the last movie that he died.
Spoiler.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
So you did like the last one, but have you seen any of them since? Like, because that's the other thing is like a lot has happened from that Avengers to this one.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
will
what
probably,
was it, 2019?
Yeah, that'll probably not make a lot of sense to you. Like, do you plan on watching it back or?
Oh yeah. So when the movie comes out, what I do is like a lot of times, like even with Scream and like Fast and Furious and stuff like that, I always go back and watch like
the whole movies.
Not all of them, but like maybe like one or two, like whichever ones I feel like, and then I come back to it. Like
so
in the lead up to it.
So there's one thing I can appreciate about Marvel being as big as it is, and I think they're on like something like 50 movies, TV shows, all that stuff, is that no matter every time a new one comes out, there's like this YouTube video that'll come out, like it'll just be some fan, but it'll be cut really well, and it'll say, here's what you need to know going into this movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it'll be like 20 minutes, and it'll be like, this happened here, this happened here. So it might be a good way to...
Okay, I'm going to watch that.
Because like usually anytime there's a new Avengers Marvel series, because it's all pretty chronological. It all pretty much happens when the next one happens or at the same time.
Yeah.
So it'll fill you in. Because like, I think there's way too much. I'm also one of those people who like, I can appreciate, I'm not a huge comic book guy, but I can appreciate the fact that they built this story and this world and like, you know, transcends books and movies and comic books. Really, like it's impressive to me.
Yeah, and it's like for me, I'm a sucker for like when they reference things that are in like, you know, kind of bringing. I mean, this was a whole universe, and they're bringing everybody together. That's why I liked these movies in the first place.
Yeah, I wonder, like, it's got to end some point, no? Like the whole Avengers thing.
I mean, let's
like
think about Fast and Furious for a second. They brought back a lot of the characters from the dead. So
anything is possible in movies. All right, Manesa Dhanabalan, I know you're getting busy because it is almost showtime. So I appreciate you making the time and joining me here on set.
Thank you.
All right, Manesa Dhanabalan, everybody. My thanks to her for joining me. All right, I wanted to get to this story because it's been trending this week. Tiger Woods has confirmed his relationship with former daughter-in-law of President Donald Trump. Now, Woods posted 2 images of he and Vanessa Trump on social media, writing, quote, "Love is in the air and life is better with you by my side. We look forward to our journey through life together. At this time, we would appreciate privacy for all those close to our hearts." Now, Woods and Vanessa Trump have been seen together in San Diego last month during the Genesis Invitational. Her daughter Kai and Woods' 2 children attend the Benjamin School. Now, the golf-obsessed U.S. president, that being Trump, and Tiger have always had a close relationship, with Trump honoring the golfing legend with a Presidential Medal of Freedom in his first term, as well as playing several rounds of golf together in recent years. I want to bring in Tessa Bennett. She is a reporter for Trending Now. How, like, cringe is this that you're going to make a post about on social media to your 6.7 million followers that you're dating the former like daughter-in-law of the president, and you end it with, "We appreciate your privacy"? Like,
it's a bit odd. If you really appreciated the privacy, you could have just not posted it at all.
Yeah.
Nobody had any inclination that they were dating.
Yeah. I mean, there were hints, like, right? They were sitting around, like, I don't know, like, where reporters keep asking him, like, maybe they just want to be out in public. Like, it's fine, but, like, don't ask for me to appreciate your privacy.
No,
when you're going to post it to your 6.7 million followers.
Yeah, I think you kind of waive the right to that when you do
I have a private Instagram account, so I'm really not one to talk here.
I do too.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't bring you on to talk about this. I brought you on to talk about Signalgate.
Oh.
So this story really, I mean, happened Monday.
The first article.
I was reading it on my phone, and I was thinking, there's no way this is true, right? This has got to be a joke. Like, Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic comes out and says, "I was added to war plans, thought it was a joke until the bomb started falling."
Yeah.
What like, take us through this week and trying to follow this story and the different explanations we've been getting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everybody on Monday had a moment of thinking, like, surely this can't be true. But no, he came out with the first report on Monday where he, you know, made public the fact that he had been added to this this group chat on Signal, which is an encrypted app, but it does not meet the same level of security clearance as most communication methods should when you're talking about things this highly sensitive.
The U.S. military.
Yeah, you know, maybe you don't want people knowing about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he first posted that report on Monday. The White House was very quick to downplay it. I mean, Trump, the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and a number of other people first kind of went towards bashing the Atlantic and trying to, I think, just not really give him much credibility because they didn't want this to obviously reflect poorly on themselves. And then Wednesday, a second report came out because there had been this dramatic push from the White House to say, well, it's not a big deal because the Atlantic is a dying magazine, and actually there was no confidential information that was shared. And so on Wednesday, the editor-in-chief of the Atlantic was like, okay, fine. If there was
if it's not
confidential, why don't I share every screenshot that I have of this conversation, which he did. Yeah. And it's pretty clear when you look at it, there are exact locations. There's types of weaponry used, the timeline of a lot of these attacks. And again, the White House kind of tried to shift the narrative and say, well, no, these were attack plans, not war plans, and that's a different thing. I did speak to an expert from the Military College of Canada who did say, there is actually a difference between war plans and attack plans, but at the end of the day, the question remains, why were they using this app that was clearly so unsecure?
Sending back and forth emojis to talk about it. And you had J.D. Vance bashing the president, being like, I don't think he understands what the kind of implications this can have.
He was against the
moving forward. He said, let's wait a month, right?
Exactly, because he said he didn't think the American people would understand why they were choosing to move forward with this at that point. So, a lot of interesting stuff came out of this, and I think it really begs the question, and a lot of people have been asking this, they were so casual in the way they were talking about this. How many other group chats like this exist within the American government? It's a scary, as funny as it is that this is a thing, it's also scary.
And there's a couple other things like the U.S. Ambassador to Peace, whatever they call it, Middle East, Steve Witkoff. He was using the app while in Russia. There's that part of it. He was meeting Putin. Mike Waltz is the U.S. security, whatever they call him, National Security Advisor. Yeah. He took full responsibility. He didn't know how this loser got on his phone, that being Goldberg. And then on that point, though, so Jeffrey Goldberg, he is the one who infamously reported that Trump was calling veterans who died losers and suckers. So that was back in 2020. So there is a history there.
There is. So it is
doesn't take away from the fact that it happened, but
no, but it is ironic that the one person who would be accidentally added to this chat would also be someone who is clearly not a Trump Republican MAGA person.
Have the Democrats done well enough in making this a big deal? Because it seems like if this were Joe Biden, if this were Democrats, like you talk about Hillary Clinton's emails, which was on a private server at her home, which is, I would assume, is more secure. I don't know. But, then this commercial app, which is Signal. I just feel like Biden would have already been impeached if this was him. It just seems like the Democrats are, yes, they're calling on Pete Hegseth to resign. Yes, they're limited in their power. But it just seems like, okay, where are you and what are you going to do about it?
Well, and this is the tricky thing. Chuck Schumer, the House Minority Speaker, was very quick to call for a bipartisan investigation. And so there have been congressional hearings that have taken place since all of this came out that included Tulsi Gabbard and the director of the CIA and a number of other officials. But I think the problem is that, they're all still approaching this like they've done nothing wrong because they have their methods for being able to justify the fact that, well, this wasn't classified information. And they've kind of instead just been touting this military operation as such a huge success that it can't really be that bad. Yeah. So despite these congressional hearings and these calls for resignation, it doesn't really look like anyone's going to be losing their job over this.
Well, it seems like Trump doesn't want to fire Mike Waltz because that would be what the media wanted. Trump never admits he's wrong, right? That's kind of a defining characteristic of the guy. He's never been wrong in his life. Listen, I appreciate that. I've never been wrong either. Well, I thought I was once, but then it turns out I wasn't.
Oh,
but
interesting.
That's a classic joke that just went over your head, but that's okay. That's okay. But it does seem like nothing's going to happen out of this. And this is, what are we, 2 months into the administration, and this is a pretty big scandal.
Well, and what's kind of interesting is that Trump actually tried to use that stat. Like, this is the only issue we've had in 2 months, which I don't think is doing for him what he wants it to do. But no, he doesn't want to admit that he made a mistake. He doesn't want to admit that he maybe did not appoint the right person to be the national security advisor.
Or the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Trump has stated publicly he sees no reason for either of them to have to apologize. And they've both learned a lesson.
They both
and
learned a lesson.
Important.
Yeah. This is never going to happen again.
No.
But again, that took 4 days to admit that there was a mistake that had been made.
Yeah.
It took the confidential plans being actually published, because if they're not confidential, then who cares?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy stuff. Crazy stuff this side of the country. It's not actually, but it's an election campaign.
Yes.
Silly season, as we like to call it. What's the latest this week on the campaign? Pierre Poilievre had a huge rally here in the Hamilton area. Organizers say 4,500 people attended. It's in a rally at Stony Creek. Carney actually took a day off.
He's prime minister.
Okay, so explain that, because he's prime minister, but he's also running. When is he prime minister? When is he running?
Yeah, so it is a little bit challenging, and obviously there's only been 1 week of the campaign so far, so there's still quite a bit yet to be seen. Carney is prime minister when it comes to dealing with anything in Ottawa, whether that's the phone call he had with Trump today. I know he also met with premiers. So he does have to take certain days and set them aside for his duties as prime minister. Anything on the campaign trail he does, any announcements he makes in that capacity, he's leader of the Liberal Party.
But the casual observer, like somebody watching the news tonight, we're going to put it up there, and we'll do it correctly. We'll call him Prime Minister Carney when he's doing something prime minister. I'm sure people will accuse us of bias, as they normally do. But the thing is, that's the power of incumbency, though, too, right? And Pierre Poilievre and Jagmeet Singh and the Green Party co-leaders can go out there all they want, but when Prime Minister Carney is speaking about something, it takes on a little bit more.
It's different. He's coming at this from a different angle than all of his other opponents are. And I think everyone is trying to work hard. This is a condensed timeline. I believe this is actually the shortest possible campaigning period allowed under Canadian law that Carney has opted for. So, it really is a sprint, not really a race. I think everyone is really just trying to get everything that they can out there.
Yeah. 1 month today.
The 20, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, we talked about that with Manesa, and I know that they were thinking of May 5th, but I think that's the day of missing and murdered Indigenous women, right? And I think they were worried about a conflict on that one, but a Saturday election?
So
what?
April 28th is a Monday.
It's a Monday? Oh, I'm looking at May. Okay, I'm way too far ahead. I'm sorry.
That being said, though, advance polls are on Easter weekend, which could, be a deterrent for some people.
Yeah.
But...
All right.
Yeah.
How was the rest of your week, though? I mean, because it was a pretty wild week. How do you? And I talk about this all the time on the show. How do you turn off your brain when you go home? Because it's hard to do it with this show. Because you do need to be aware of everything that's going on. You do need to watch the news on top of just what we do here. How do you turn off your brain to get away from news when you're not here and when you're not on the clock?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it is a difficult thing to do because being good at this job means being very plugged in. I do try to turn off notifications for all of my news subscriptions when I get home at night.
Yeah.
I have gotten really into my book club. So I try to read.
Your book club?
Mostly
I try to read.
Mostly, it's hard for me.
It's hard for a lot of us.
Mostly fiction, just to kind of have a little bit of escapism.
Trash TV?
Love.
Are you a big trash TV person?
Any kind of reality TV, from trash TV to Survivor,
Oh, okay. So I'm 2 episodes behind on Survivor now.
They're casting for season 51 right now.
Would you give it a go?
The jury is still out on whether or not I'm going to throw my name in the ring just to meet Jeff Probst.
I mean,
I would do it just to meet him.
I'm still not over when he stopped saying, "Come on in, guys." And I know, I get it, but "Come on in, guys."
I know.
It's just a classic.
I know.
You got to give it oh man, I got to catch up. Now you got me thinking Survivor. Maybe that's my weekend plans. What's your weekend plans?
Honestly, nothing major. I feel like I've had a few.
You're going to Costco.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Let me rephrase. Actually, super major. I'm going to Costco. No, I've had a lot of busy weekends recently, and I'm seeing a few friends, but nothing that's going to take up a huge chunk of my time or energy.
Yeah.
We're doing a Costco run first thing tomorrow morning.
That could take up a lot of time and energy.
No,
mentally.
listen, I have
a system.
I am very systematic the way I approach it. I know the layout of the store.
Of course, you have to.
You get there right for when it opens.
But you've never had a Costco hot dog.
No.
That's incredible to me. That is.
Listen, there's a first for everything.
$1.50. You get a hot dog. You get a pop.
It's $1.50.
It's $1.50.
Well, why didn't
you get a hot dog and a pop? Pizza. Andrew, our manager here on the operational side, he was talking about the pizza being the best.
Yeah, I mean the pictures certainly make it look.
Don't look at that.
Crazy.
Don't think too much about hot dog when you're eating, because
right.
if you look at it too long, you might be.
Well, you're already starting to talk me out of this.
It's $1.50. You can't go wrong. Well, have a great weekend. Great work this week, and we'll see you next week. I'll be back here next week.
Perfect.
Back-to-back shows. All right, Tessa Bennett, everybody. My thanks to you for joining the show. My thanks to you as well, because we could not do this show without your support. And hey, while you're here, make sure you follow all of our Trending Now social media pages. That includes on X and on YouTube. And while you're liking and subscribing, make sure you like and subscribe to CHCH Podcast so you never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great shows we have for you, including Sportsline with Bubba O'Neill, and catch new episodes of that every weekday here on CHCH Podcast. All right, well, I want to thank Kyle Miller for directing today's episode, and one more time, thank you from all of us here at CHCH. I'm Louie Butko. Have a great weekend.